Educational technology, also known as EdTech, is one of the many ways learning is being made easier and accessible to everyone. It is one of the fastest growing parts of digital technology that's modernizing how learning happens. Dola Olayomi, founder of WowBe, gives his take on how EdTech is redefining the learning space.
Technology has been on the periphery of education for quite a while. And I think over the last 20 years, we've seen the introduction of computers, laptops coming into the classroom, moving on to PowerPoint presentations from Microsoft and presentation applications, putting out, helping teachers to be able to deliver content. We've seen students being able to deliver their work using learning management systems, and putting those out there. For us, especially in Africa, the key transformation has been how do we leapfrog and take our own education system, our own kids, our own teachers, how do we transform that sector through education and put us right where we're sitting on cutting-edge technology, just as it is in the first world countries, whether it's in the UK, in the US, in the UAE. How do we, in Malaysia, how do we bring our own system to play at that space? What we've noticed, with this transformation has been the fact that small countries like Hungary had a deliberate technology and education policy to make sure that within the space of 10 years, by 2023, Hungary as a country, for example, wanted to use education as a basis to make themselves, technology and education, as a basis to make themselves competitive within the European Union. And they had a master plan to do that. And they've achieved it. And today, so many edtech companies sit in that country. For us, it's more about how do we use technology to transform what's happening in Africa and bring us right where we should be. And so the real story, the real transformation is really about what kind of applications, what kind of hardware, what kind of software, what kind of ecosystem are we able to grow locally and also be able to bring in what we've learned from the first world countries to give us that added advantage in Africa, to make sure that just like we could see with the mobile leapfrog we had with mobile technology, the same thing can happen with us. Even though we're starting so late, we can leapfrog and get right to the front. So for us, it's about active interactivity in our learning spaces. And that's what we are now seeing coming into our learning spaces in Africa for the first time. We've always heard about e-this, e-that, e-learning. It's just been that e-word in word and mouth only. Now we're seeing that coming really finally into learning spaces in Africa. So we're seeing transformation. At what speed? Not quite the speed we should be at. But we're hoping that with the first steps that have been taken now, we really can see a nationwide transformation using technology.
And in Nigeria, how would you say we're faring?
Well, painfully, we're still at the back of the pack. For us in Nigeria, both from the administrators, first of all, we put in so much in terms of the budget. I hear it's 25% of budget or thereabout is supposed to go into education. The reality is the trickle-down effect. The money being there is on the one side, but in reality, that really being put into the right kind of investment to transform our learning spaces is what's key. Because as at this point in time, there are probably only about less than 10 hardware interventions, computer hardware interventions in education that have actually had an impact. Most have failed, and that's because a thorough assessment wasn't done before the rollouts happened. So it's not about pulling up, we threw out 100,000 tablets into a space. The question is how many tablet interventions have been successful 2 years, 3 years down the line. So really, we're way behind on the pack, really, really way behind. But the good thing about it is that we're hearing and we're seeing a lot more eagerness with regard to government in particular saying, we're investing heavily in education. We're throwing a lot into education. But we have a lot of work, a huge amount of work to do, even from transforming the teachers, our colleges of education that we have nationwide. What's the investment that's gone into those spaces from a technology perspective to make sure that the teachers, who are the core stakeholders, are able to transmit knowledge in the way it should be done now?
When it comes to using technology or, the internet, one major worry parents have is the issue of distraction for the students. How can that be managed?
The key idea is to use what's native to the kids, technology, what's native to them, to become their favorite spot to go and learn. The Generation Z kids are a video-led generation. So basically you want to use gamification, you want to use 3D illustrations, you want to use high-definition pictures, you want to use 4K quality pictures, you want to use those kind of things that they're used to seeing cartoons. You want to use those kind of things to become also the model of reinforcing their learning. And once you're able to do that, especially what we've seen even where we are here, we find that games just reinforce that learning. And so you're using the fun things that they love to do to reinforce the concepts that you want them to learn from. And so that allows them focus. It's very, very difficult to get any kid now for 40 minutes to put their eyes into a book. But give them a 40-minute animation that can take them on a journey of Ikeja. And they're seeing an avatar leading them and walking them through that journey. Oh, you put a pointer when they touch something that's interactive on the screen, and it tells them, oh, that's the headquarters of Ikeja local government on Adini Jones Street. And you're literally walking them through that in a video with an avatar, coming up with, the things that they're used to. That becomes their focus.
What about privacy, online security, and of course, poor connectivity that could slow learning? How do you think we can go around all of those?
Until we begin to produce excellent learners out of our schools, we're not going to have the capacity or the professionals years down the line that can become the policemen, the cyber policemen, who will catch the cyber thieves that are threatening us from a security perspective. And for us as a country in particular, we're completely way behind, especially with tracking cybercrime. The whole essence of our intervention right now is to create those native professionals who from age 8, 9, 10, 11 are already exposed to the tools that can make them build the content, build the applications from a day-to-day experience that they have coming to school. Those who are the thieves in cyberspace are way ahead of those who are policing them. And so we have hacks we're on right now. There are a lot of them going on right now. I mean, big organizations losing their data. So professionally, we're far from it, but we're going to prepare for our future. We need to be proactive, and that's what we hope all these investments will help us do, rather than being reactive. You hear all the Yahoo things happening. Who's going to catch them? Not the conventional policeman, no. They've got to be guys who are sitting online, watching their every move, and that's where we have to be.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.